AFA Today, Kevin McCullough with you on AFR Talk, and glad to be so, though I wish it were under different circumstances. By the way, if you've not checked out the news, you need to get over to onenewsnow.com. All the latest from the Associated Press and all the family and faith and values news that you can possibly squeeze into a day as well, including what I think is going to be posted soon, a news story that is just coming to the surface. Do you remember the name Ben Carson? Dr. Ben Carson, who was the African-American surgeon that spoke at the National Prayer Breakfast with the president in the room, and he said those very bold things about personal responsibility and the need to, behave like a good citizen should, et cetera, et cetera. He kind of became a rock star on some of the speaking circuits after that. Believe it or not, after that event, Ben Carson says that the IRS decided to audit him because primarily of his anti-presidential views towards the president. Former surgeon who criticized President Obama over his lack of leadership in the health care plan earlier this year claims he was unfairly targeted by the IRS simply for his comments. He said on the O'Reilly Factor last night that he never had a problem with the tax collecting agency until he spoke out against the president, and eventually the IRS conducted a full audit against Carson. Of course, they found no wrongdoing because he pays his taxes. But I just wonder how much more convincing some people in America need to understand that there's a different stripe of character to the cat that we have in the house right now. That what we are talking about is the use of political position and power to abuse, punish, and to hurt those that disagree with them, even if they happen to be 70 and 80-year-old people served their country proudly in World War II. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. More of your phone calls. Let's go to George in New Mexico, who's been waiting quite some time. George, thanks for your patience. You're on with Kevin McCullough. Hi.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Hey, listen, I just wonder, do you think that he is using this situation with the World War II memorial so that he can have an excuse to activate Homeland Security and start using up some of those 700 million rounds that they ordered?
I don't know. Somebody suggested that on the broadcast yesterday, and what I have to think for myself is I don't want my mind to go there. I don't want my mind to go to a place where I would actively think that the president would turn forces on his own people. But then again, I wouldn't have thought that we were going to systematically target political opponents with the IRS like we started discovering in February. And then, lo and behold, that list grew to a list exceeding 2,000 organizations by name. Oh, and some Yahoo got on Facebook yesterday and said, oh, Kevin wrongfully invoked that the White House had direct connection to the IRS scandal. And then cited some Forbes magazine article where it supposedly said that he didn't. Well, if you actually believe that the president didn't know anything about what Lois Lerner was doing, then you're a bigger fool than the gullible people that still don't know what to believe. Because to think that they would systematically target only the president's opponents and not have some inclination from on high that that was a good thing to do. Now, there may not be an exact telegraph or memo or email or even phone call that took place, but word gets around, word gets spread. Hey, we could do this. I wonder what the president would think about that. Yeah, if I get in front of him and I have a chance to ask him a hypothetical, maybe I could do that. And word gets back, and sure enough, it's all a head go. If not, how else do you explain how it happened? That the only people that got targeted in the IRS matter were those that philosophically disagreed with the president. The president, and this president has said this many times, wishes to be the president for all of the American people. If that's really true, then he would be as equally outraged about the partisan actions that the IRS carried out as everybody else was. And by outraged, I mean do more than just give a speech and say, well, we're going to get to the bottom of this, and then close to 6 months, 8 months, 10 months later, not do anything about it. That's what I'm talking about. Also saying he didn't know anything about it. Oh, and lo and behold, he knew about it like 3 weeks before he actually admitted to. 888-589-8840. That's just one observation, though. Eugene in North Carolina, you're next. Hi, Eugene. Welcome. Thanks for being with us on AFA Today. Hi.
Hi. I'm a Democrat, and I want to say I think that it is shameful what they're doing. I think that they're making a calculated political move to try to call the public's attention, because I think they're banking on the fact that they think the public is going to blame the Republicans for the shutdown, and so they're trying to make it as hyperbolic and as hurtful as they can. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how the public actually reacts towards, when it comes to elections, how they actually react to the shutdown.
Well, the shutdown is one thing, but the barricading of the memorial is completely different. See, and this is what I tried to explain to some callers yesterday. It's one thing if you have the two sides of government, in this case the legislative and the executive, and they draw to a stalemate and it shuts down. Resolving that's in the interest of everybody to get resolved. Everybody in America should be pulling for both sides of that debate to come together and figure out a way to get that on track. And not say, well, it's just their responsibility. No, it's everybody's responsibility to be committed to a solution. But what we're talking about with the memorial, now this is getting into a completely different, separate area, has absolutely nothing to do with the shutdown, because there's no resources that it costs to keep the memorial open on a daily basis. Does that make sense, Eugene?
Yeah. And
so you identified yourself as a Democrat, which I don't claim to be a Democrat or a Republican. I've voted for both over the course of my life. But why in particular do you identify yourself that way? And does the actions of what's happening now have any impact on how you feel about that?
That's a good question. I guess because I've always identified myself that way, but as I get older, I do feel like maybe I should be more like you and not identify myself as either one. I try to see the faults in both sides and not paint myself into a box like I think a lot of people do, and admit when things are wrong. I think what they're doing with the barricading of the World War II veterans is wrong. And I try not to, just because I've always, maybe because, my family are Democrats, and I've always, considered myself a Democrat, not deny what's self-evident.
Well, you're certainly not alone in that regard, Eugene. There's a lot of people, and it depends on where you grow up, that identify with, well, my family's always been like this, so I just vote this way. And at the end of the day, voting for something without knowing the facts or the issues involved is really where the rubber meets the road. I mean, because if you're not aware of issues, then you're probably not going to make good decisions on the votes. And it's important to know where do the candidates stand? Where are they at on the issues that are most important to me? And friends, I can't tell you what issue should be most important to you. I can't tell you which one you should value most. I know what I value. I know the things that I put the highest importance on. I want to see the innocence of life be protected. I want to see the sanctity of the family be protected. I want to see an economy that encourages individual responsibility, not collective responsibility, because I don't think collective responsibility is biblical. I think individual responsibility is biblical. Now, when it comes to safety nets, I do think that the church and the community can come together and create safety nets in a way that help, but that shouldn't become dependency. So because of these certain things, I look for candidates that are going to fall in line with where my thinking is at, and then those are the ones that I'm going to support. And to Eugene's point, I think it is necessary to be critical of both sides, just like I was critical of Chris Christie just a few weeks ago when he decided to sign that law into effect that said basically that they were going to ban reparative therapy in the state of New Jersey because some psychologists told him that it wasn't a good thing. He was completely absconding from the morality involved in that issue. And we have to vote on a moral basis. That's the one thing I will say about believers. You can't tell secular people this, but believers have a responsibility to vote on a moral basis. First and foremost, there may be other reasons that you decide to like a candidate or follow them, but the moral issue, do the list of policies that they represent fall in line with what God says is right? That has to be one of the most important focuses that can be ascertained. And if you don't know, that there's no blame on you there. Just learn more next time. I'm not here to beat people up. I just want to make sure that we're making the clearest decisions possible, because again, I don't have a stake in Republicanism or Democrats. I think both are most of the time worthless. What I'm interested in are issues and people standing on principles. That's what I want to see. 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. Let's go to Bill in Oklahoma. Hi, Bill. Bill, are you there?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know I was on yet.
That's okay.
What you just said to the previous caller, I just want to say amen, amen, amen. I couldn't have said it better myself. Three quick things I want to make a comment on, and you try to comment on them, and I'll get off.
Okay.
We live in such a fantastic country, and I say that because where else but in America can a man be elected to the highest office available with such ideals as Obama has? Where else but in America can a man be elected that has been mentored by known communists? Parents were communists. Number two, how long can we hold out on this shutdown? And if we can hold out, I'm willing to go the gamut. I'm willing to go the duration. I mean, if it's going to help the American public, I don't know if it's feasible for us to do it. And number three, are they reading the Constitution at all up there? I mean, the Constitution says of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Right.
I don't think they're doing that.
Well, they forget, and this is people on all sides. Let me just quickly say, it's not just one group, but they're on all sides. They're quickly forgetting that they do work for us. They are not our leaders. They are not our rulers. They are not kings. They are not princes. They are public servants. They serve us. They are our servants. They stand in positions that we give them permission to stand in, hired for a period of time to do a job that we hire them to do. And if they do not complete that job to the satisfaction of their employer, we retain the right to throw them out, just like any other business owner would. And you're exactly right, Bill. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, Grace from Michigan, you're back from yesterday. Hi, welcome back to AFA Today. Kevin McCullough, glad you're here.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Go right ahead.
I noticed that you asked me some questions, or you threw them out there for me. And I have to say, what prompted me to call yesterday, I listened to AFR because I enjoy the ministries that are on here later in the evening, Dr. Jeremiah and Joseph Youssef.
Sure.
I listened to them. What prompted me to call is that I am frustrated with Christians who act as if they have no guardianship of the gospel, and they say all of these things, inflame issues that you have to remember. I totally understand. There's people who don't agree with what I believe in, but it's as if the other side, which I'm an independent, it's as if the other side totally disregards that there's people who don't agree and see things the way they see them. And the reason I called is because I heard this woman say this man is despicable. And then after your program went off, I guess the pastor, whoever he is, came on praying because Obama has a dark soul. And, the bottom line is the gospel and the teachings of Christ and the entire Bible, you can see that God used wicked. If Obama is wicked, he used wicked rulers and kings and people to accomplish his end.
I know.
So the bottom line is pray for him. I believe that his rise to the presidency was established and allowed by God. If he
I
was
do
not
too.
supposed to be in power, he would not have been allowed to be in power. And
Grace,
so,
I believe that, but in fact, I go one step further. I believe that America wanted him, even though we knew truthful things about his past. We as a nation, see, Obama being in office isn't a problem because it's Obama. There's a problem there that stems from the hearts of the people, and that's kind of what you're addressing. In fact, after our discussion yesterday, and the music's coming up, which means I got to let you go, but I'm glad that you called back, and I want you to call often because we put people on that disagree in front of everybody else. But here's what I want to say. Grace did say, to her defense, she did say yesterday, we need to pray for the president. Friends, right now, I'm going to ask you to pray for me and my family. We're under attack in about 7 different ways that I've never seen coming at me before. But here's the thing. God made this really clear to me last night. We may have anxiety about issues in our life. In fact, that anxiety can usually well up and become pretty big. But until we have taken the time to labor in prayer for as much or equal to the anxiety that we have no right to expect that God will move. Not until we've labored in prayer. So Grace and I agree on that. And I hope that you'll be back tomorrow when we continue our discussion here on AFA Today on AFR Talk. Thanks for being here.